Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today we come again in this Parashah study, or the Parashah overview, let's say so, because it's not really a study. It's just to give an impulse in your own study. We are now in the book of Bamidbar, number chapter 22, verse 2 until 25 now. And we are concentrate on the story of Balak and Bilam, the wicked prophet. So this is very interesting because we see here that Bilam and Balak were all descendants from the lineage of Abraham. We see here that we see in the text the Balak is a king of Moab. We remember that Moab is the descendant from Lot, Moab, and Ammon. So we see the direct relationship with Abraham. The second one is Balak. Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of Moab. And Bilam is the son of Beor, and they are descendant from Edom. Edom, we need to remember, is Esau. Esau was the brother of Jacob. So here we enter into a story of Balak who fears the children of Israel, not without reason, because to understand this situation, we have to go back to the form Parashah, where we see that the children of Israel defeated Zichon. He defeated Zichon. If we go to the chapter 21, we will see that the king Zichon was defeated by the children of Israel. And so now we understand better that Balak feared the children of Israel. He didn't come out so just because he saw the children of Israel. No, he had a reason, because we remember in the form Parashah that Israel, this means the unity, all the people together pray to Jehovah, and he delivered Sihon into their hands. So Balak feared. He feared because he said, oh, I have no possibility to drive them out. So he tried to hire Bilam to curse them, and so that he will be able to be free from them. Unfortunately for him, Bilam, which is a wicked man, and he's a wicked prophet, he do that he has a false humility. He proclaimed himself that he sees with the eyes open, that he is really a great prophet. By the way, we can read that Bilam, like Yov and like the father-in-law from Moshe, Yithro, were serving Pharaoh in Egypt. So we can read that in the book of the just,
Sure.
The book of Yasher, the book of the just, the upright. So here all come together. So Balak want to hire Bilam and say, okay, I will give you much more money and glory that you will never had before if you just curse them. But Elohim will use Bilam against Balak to show him that you cannot touch the children of Israel. Indeed, he say in the chapter 22, I think it's in the verse 12, he say, I will read from the verse 10, and Bilam said unto Elohim, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent unto me, saying, behold, the people is come out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, it covered the face of the earth. Now come, curse me them, peradventure shall be able to fight against them, shall drive them out. And Elohim said unto Balaam, you shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the prince of Balak, get you into your land, for Jehovah refused to give me leave to go with you. And the prince of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak, and say, Balaam refused to come with us. You see, he said here, we read, you shall go with them, you shall curse the people, for they are blessed. The blessing here do not come because of their righteousness. Remember, they are rebellious people. We see in the former Parashah that they rebelled against Moshe. We read about the serpent in the desert. We read that they complained at Meribah. We read that since the time they came out from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, they were always complaining. That's not the blessing which is spoken here. The blessing to understand that the children of Israel are blessed. They are blessed on behalf of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. So it's not in their own righteousness. On their own righteousness. This is very interesting because we can make a parallel with our life today. We are not, we don't receive anything on our own behalf because we were all sinners. We were all living in the world. Shall go so far, they say, you were in the world without Elohim, stranger of the covenant. This means you were in the world. When we were in the world, we were without Elohim. Now, in Mashiach Yeshua, when we walk in the Torah, we have two aspects. To believe is to act. When we follow Yeshua, because it is written, he who believes Yeshua should walk as he walked. So when we imitate our Adon, our Master Yeshua, we turn back to the Torah, and then we receive what is given upon him. All the blessing given to Yeshua come upon us. Please forget when we speak about blessing, about money. Okay? Blessing is much more than that. Blessing is touching our life in security, in protection against sickness, disease. We can see that in the Torah, it is written. Money is part of it, but they say, you see, I will never leave you nor forsake you, and I feed you. I will feed you. Remember, Yeshua speak about that in the book of Matthew. He say, look, the birds of the field, yeah, they are fed. How much more will your Father, which is in heaven, take care of you? So when we speak of blessing, the blessing is our life. There is a tremendous change between the goyim, living in the world, and those who have turned back and entered the covenant through the Torah, following Yeshua. So when we enter into the Torah, following Yeshua, then we have the blessing which is brought to us through Yeshua, not on our own. We don't have any merit. We don't have anything. We were lost in this world. So please be careful. Like the children of Israel, they have no merit. They have no merit on their own. But they are the descendant of Abraham and Elohim. If you go to the book of Bereshit, I will give you something because it's very important to understand. And we see that here in Bereshit chapter 12, we can read. Jehovah speak to Abraham. He said, I will bless you, make thy name great, you will be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless you, and him that curse you will I curse, and thee shall all the family of the earth be blessed. You see? So we see that there is a blessing already from Abraham. This blessing will go on to Yitzchak and Yaakov. So in the merit of the patriarchs, there is a blessing for the children of Israel. What we have to understand is that there is a break. The break comes when we have the divisions after Shlomo, King Shlomo, between the two kingdoms, the kingdom of the north and the kingdom of the south. One kingdom was removed from the sight of Elohim. This is the house of Ephraim, the house of Israel. But the kingdom of the south, which is the kingdom of Yehuda, and which include the Levites and the Benjamites, was still in the covenant. You see? Was still in the covenant. This is when we read Ephesians chapter 2, we need to understand what Shaul is speaking. Now, Judah, and I want to encourage you to think twice before you say anything about Judah. The Jew today have never lived the covenant. Never. And this is very important to understand, because we were brought back to the covenant through Yeshua. But they have never lived the covenant. And this is why they are the people of Elohim. They are the people of Elohim by choice. Jehovah never removed them. Not because they are better than us. Not because they are better. No, it's not the reason. They are stayed because Jehovah decided it so when he spoke to David. This is why it is so. It doesn't change. So, Shaul gives us a good advice in Romans chapter 11 to be humble and not to boast ourselves. Because
that we are saved, yeah.
Because we are saved, because we receive the Torah, because of that the Jews do not know anything, because the Jews do not know Yeshua, because the Jews do not know the Brit Hadashah. That is acting like fools, like Balaam. We speak things out of our mouth which are very, very contrary to the will of Elohim. So we need to be wise and not to act like fools, because we cannot change the situation. We cannot change it. So we come a time when Yehuda and Ephraim, the house of Israel, will be reunited. For now, it is division. But division is the science for a reason which is given to us by Shaul. It is in order that the fullness of the Goim come in. To understand this verse from Romans 11, I think 11:25, you have to go back to Bereshit chapter 48, which explains that Ephraim will become a fullness of Goim, nations. So this is the relation. I go back now to Balaam and Balak. Balak wanted at any price curse the children of Israel, but Jehovah said to Balaam, you cannot do it. And we see that Balaam cannot do it. There is something what happened, but I will show you in a moment. Here we see that after that, Jehovah tell Balaam, okay, you can go, but you will tell the people what I tell you. You will not tell what you want. You will tell them what I tell you. And on this way, Balaam is riding his she-donkey, and the she-donkey was smarter than him. He who pretend to be so smart because he see in a vision and he had the eyes open and he see many things, but he was not able to see the Malak who stand across the way to stop him. It is a donkey. The donkey refused to move on. The donkey alone saw the Malak. Balaam do not saw him. So it is only when Balaam got his eyes open that he could see. You see, so it is very interesting that an animal was able to see what Balaam, the so-called great prophet, couldn't see. Now, I want not to go too long into the details we have seen here. What I want to show you is that when we go through the Parashah, we see that even with a wicked prophet, Jehovah gave him the ability to speak about the coming of the Mashiach that we see later. And he said here in chapter 23, he's speaking to, he said, how shall I curse whom Elohim has not cursed? You see, in the proverb it is written that a curse not founded cannot impact somebody. So you don't have to worry about curses. They have no power if you are in the Torah. If you follow Yeshua, you have there is no curse that can come against you. Okay? here now. Let me see that. I want to. Balak tried to bring him in another place, but he cannot. He cannot curse them. Now, I want to show you something. Let me see. Balak insists. He said, I cannot go beyond the word of Jehovah to do either good or bad of my own mind. What Jehovah speak, that will I speak. You see. Now, you see here, it's very interesting. In 24, we read, the saying of him who hears the word of Elohim, it is a Balaam speaking, and knows the knowledge of the Most High, who see the vision of the Almighty fallen down, yet with open eyes. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not nigh. You see, I see him, but it's not for now. I behold him, but not nigh. It's not close. There shall step forth a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. A scepter. You see, the scepter shall rise out of Israel and shall smite through the corner of Moab and break down all the sons of Seth. And Edom shall be a possession, Seir also, even his enemy shall be a possession, while Israel does valiantly. Here we see, this is a time of the reform when Mashiach will come back. The scepter, if you want to understand, the scepter shall rise out of Israel, you have to go back also to Parashah chapter 49, when Yaakov gives the blessing, and specifically when he gives the blessing to Yehuda, to Judah. Then he will say to Judah that the scepter shall not depart from Judah, until Shiloh come. And this is very important because Yeshua is also called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So when Mashiach come back, the scepter will be in the hand of Yeshua. He will have the authority of all the tribe and of all the nations. And Edom shall be a possession. You have to read the book of the prophet Obadiah to understand about Edom. Edom is Rome. Edom is an entity, spiritual entity, which is called in Judaism Rome. Rome is Edom. Rome is Christianity. Why? Because you have to compare Esau, the life of Esau, and the life of Christianity today. Okay? Esau, like a Christian today, he knew about Elohim. Yes, he knew because he was raised in the tent of his father. And he knew very well. But he was not interested. He tried to do things to please his parents, but he married a Canaanite woman. It's only when he saw that he displeased his parents that he decided to marry, just to make like the daughter of Ishmael. You see, that is the typical ways of Christianity. Christianity play a role, but it's not in the truth. Because where is no Torah, there is no truth. The truth is the Torah. He is the same. But Balaam will not give up. He will not give up. And that is what is very evil. In this point is, I want to read for you, because this is something which is very bad in chapter 25. He says, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit harlotry with the daughters of Moab. They called the people to the sacrifice of their Elohim, and the people did eat and bow down to their Elohim. And Israel joined himself unto Baal of Peor, and the anger of Jehovah was come against Israel. You see, now, to understand that, we have 2 points which are very important. First of all, we will go to the Revelation, the book of Revelation, chapter 2, in the verse 14, we will read. This is concerning the assembly of Pergam. And he say, we read from 12 to 14, and to the Balak, the messenger of the assembly in Pergamos, write, this thing says, he which hath a sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where you dwells, where Satan's seat is, and you hold fast my name, has not denied my faith, even those days wherein Antipas, my faithful martyr, was slain among you, where Satan dwelt. Pergam was known to be the seat or the place of Satan. Satan is an opponent. It says verse 14, but I have a few things against you, because you are there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, remember, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. It's very, very interesting, because if we go to the book of Acts, in the chapter 15, we read something very interesting, when the problem came in the beginning about the circumcision in order to be saved, according to the law of Moshe. Shaul did not agree with that, and he went to see Yaakov, Yohanan, and Kepha to explain them and to see what do they say. And this is what they say. You see, they hear to Shaul, and they say, no, I will go here. Okay. And after, from Act 15:13, after they had held their peace, Jacob answered, saying, men, brethren, hearken to me. Shimon has declared how Elohim at the first did visit the Goyim, the nation, the Gentiles, to take out of them a people for his name. To take out of them, so not all of them, take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the word of the prophet, as it is written, after this I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and will build again the ruin thereof, and I will set it up. And the residue of men might seek after Jehovah, and all the Goyim, or the nation upon whom my name is called, says Jehovah, who does all things. By the way, when we speak from the nations, it's not 198 or 194 like the UN want to tell us, but the nation, there are 70. 70 nations, you can read that in the Bereshit chapter 10. Known unto Elohim are all his work from the beginning of the world. Wherefore, now I will give the statement, my sentence is that we trouble not them which from the Goyim, from the nation, are turned to Elohim, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, fornication, things strangled from blood. You see? When you read in the book of Revelation, for Moshe of all time, as in every city, them that preach him, being read in the assembly every Shabbat day. Every Shabbat day. So, people who enter into the covenant through Yeshua, they have first of all, not they have to abstain from pollution of idols, fornication, and things strangled from blood. If you want to go deep in that, Shaul speak that in the book of Romans, chapter 15-16, and in the book of Corinthians, he explained them that the food offered to idols, and that idols are nothing, but that we may be careful that we don't become a stumbling block to other brothers where the conscience is weak. You understand? So we see here that the tactic of Balaam is still present today. It's still present today. My brother and sister, we have to be careful when we go to the market that we don't buy any food, because we are forbidden to eat blood. It is written. Pollution of idols. Pollution of idols. Shall we explain? Idols are nothing. Idols, it is written in the Psalm, they have eyes they cannot see, they have ears they cannot hear, they have hands they cannot handle, they have feet they cannot move. Idol is nothing in this world. But the problem is with the conscience of man. Some will be put into bondage through the conscience. So we have to be careful what we are doing, and when we eat food, we have to make clear that these are not offered to idols. I'll give you an example here in France, where we are living. There are many ways to buy food. Okay, you can go to the supermarket. You can go to the Muslim. They have a supermarket, so you can buy also meat there. So this meat, if you go in the Muslim market, is a meat offered to idols. Okay, so if you go somewhere and people give you lamb or beef or something, you don't ask, you eat. As long as it is beef or lamb, you can eat. But if they tell you, I bought that in the halal store, you don't eat, because we know that this has been offered to idols. Every time they kill an animal, they have a formula where they speak, and thus sacrifice this animal to idols. Okay? So we see that in the first century, this means many centuries later, the problem was still there for the goyim, those from the nation coming back to the covenant. So my brother and sister, we don't have to be like Balaam, or like the children of Israel were trapped by the doctrine of Balaam to sacrifice to idols. But we must be firm in our walk and pray for guidance, pray for wisdom in all our decisions.
Because Balak is really searching searching for the children of Israel to be stumble from he's always looking and use Balaam as a wicked prophet to curse Israel. Mm-hmm. So he's really finding the way who's approaching Moab in his territory to stumble the children of Israel to fall because the children of Israel is blessed. They are blessed by Elohim. They came out from Egypt. So now the enemy is trying to find a fault. Yeah. Trying to in every angle. Can you see how he brought Balaam to everywhere to sacrifice, just to see the fault of the children of Israel, in order Balaam can curse them. So the same as for us also.
But today is the same. We have many Balaam around us. We have to be careful.
To be full, yeah.
People want to boast themselves because they're superior, because they know, because the Lord told them, blah, blah, blah. We have to be careful, because everything that we need to know is written in the Torah and in the teaching of old. There are many good teaching among our brethren from Judah to help us to understand. So I will stop here. I pray for everyone to understand that we must be aware to apply the rules that is given to us and the advice given to us by Shaul, by Yeshua, not to fall into negligence, thinking, oh, I am in the covenant and it's finished. No. Every day is a battle. Every day we are fighting between two opposite forces. The Yetzer Hara, which is the evil inclination, and the Yetzer Tov, which is in every human being. Every human being. Not one is free from that until Mashiach come back, when the Yetzer Hara will be, the evil inclination will be bound. But until then, we all have to fight. How do I fight? Shaul says, walk in the Ruach, and you will not fulfill the desire of the flesh. In other words, he says, if you walk in the Ruach, you walk in the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination. If you walk in the flesh, you walk in the Yetzer Hara, which is your own desire, your own will, your own decision, and you will fall. Okay? So let's think that and pray to be able to stand, because the days are very hard today, more and more, and it will come even more than,
To fall.
because we know the time is short. Mashiach will come very soon. So we have to be prepared to prepare ourselves. Not to prepare the others, we prepare ourselves first. We prepare ourselves. The word is not given for others. The word is given for each of us. Every one of us has a responsibility to remove everything that has entangled us in the world. We have to cleanse ourselves, to make our garments white, to be prepared for the return of Mashiach, to be sanctified by the word. The word is the Torah. The word of truth is the Torah, no other way. We are sanctified when we keep the Torah with the best of our abilities. With the best of our abilities. So don't worry, it's easy. Yeshua said it, my yoke is light. So we don't have to worry. We just follow the Torah, and the Torah is a powerful tool to renew our mind. Shaul gave us the advice in Romans 12, chapter, verse 2. We say, brethren, I beseech you, do not be conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the renewing of the mind comes only and only through the word of the Torah, which is a living word. So every week we do reading the Parashah to try to understand, to be with other brethren if possible, and to be transformed. If I go to an assembly who do not teach Torah, then I am in the wrong place. If I go to hear sermons or debate or the vain things, that will bring nothing in my own life. I have to go to a place where the Torah is read, where the Torah is expounded, where people share the Torah, and only that. And if it is not so, then the assembly is a dead assembly. So, I wish you a good end of Shabbat and Shavuot Tov, a good blessing to everyone. See you for the next parasha.